I say, where is your fire? Can't you smell it coming out of our past? The fire of living, not dying. The fire of loving, not killing. The fire of blackness, not gangster shadows. Where is our beautiful...
Hey everyone, and welcome back to Lovecraft Country by The Verdict's In. I'm your host, Nicole.
I'm Gary.
And today we're talking about Lovecraft Country, episode 9, entitled Rewind 1921. Gary, last week we were so impressed with that episode.
We were hyped.
Yes. What do you think about this follow-up episode?
This right here was the best episode ever played on television, period.
Wow.
This was a good episode. And I love that they went back to Tulsa.
Yeah.
And it's almost like Watchmen. You know, Watchmen, they kind of touched on it. We saw the beginning where the town was invaded. Tulsa was invaded and, you know, people were shooting, but we didn't see it in detail. Mm-hmm. This show right here dived into it. They put us right in the middle, and it was an ugly scene.
It definitely was.
That was so ugly.
It made me mad. It made me wish for revenge and for them to get their revenge. Like, I wanted them to be on a different mission, and I understand they couldn't, but the episode was really good. I'm gonna say still last week was probably still my favorite.
Really?
Yeah, mainly because this one was. The Emmett Till, that was so sad with the showing the funeral last week, but this was just hurtful. Like all the words that were said, all the pain that was. It's pain. There's a lot of pain in this episode, and maybe
I think that's
why,
what made the episode.
It makes the episode, but maybe that's why it's not my favorite. Like
it made the characters real.
Yeah.
It made you understand Tick's father.
Yeah.
And why he acted the way he acted and was the way he was, and why he really didn't care if Tick wasn't his real son or not. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That flashback of him getting beat, and we'll get into it, but this episode, it was a lot of emotions, and some things I'm still confused on, which we'll get to in a minute, because that police officer, I'm like, you kind of guessed it, but let's start off with the opening, and we get Dee. Her arm looks like a freaking skeleton, where the one of the monster girls, whatever, attacked her last week, and Tick says, hey, you know what, how about I give Christina Titus's pages, and then she'll help us, get this spell. And that's when Letty, and I thought it was going to be like typical TV show where Letty doesn't say anything and just lets Tick think that they have the upper hand.
Yeah. But
luckily Letty admits, no, I've already gave Christina Titus's pages to try to save your life, and that's how I was able to save, and kind of like they just knock it out in like within 1 minute. But right. Montrose like damn near, I thought he was going to hit her. Like he attacks her and says, da-da-da, and like, you gave up everything, and now,
he attacked her verbally. It didn't look like he was gonna hit her.
He came for her. When you jump on somebody, even if you weren't gonna hit him, you don't step to somebody like that when you're yelling at them.
He had to make sure everything was understood that he was saying. Yeah, and I said it while we were watching. I said he jumped from 0 to 100 real quick. Yeah. But you know what? He's just an excellent actor.
Yeah, he is. Yes, he is. He's good in everything he does.
Yeah, every show he plays on, he just brings his characters to life.
And he's like a serial actor, as far as like a serial TV actor, where he's on this show, but each time you see him, some people get typecast. We're like, okay, like Ross from Friends. David, I forgot his last name. David Geller. Or no, that's whatever. That's the TV name. Well, whatever. Ross from Friends. David, I can't think of his real name. Whatever it is. You know how like he's typecast. If you see him, you're always going to see Ross. Right. Whereas this guy here.
Well, you know what? Not People's vs. OJ.
Man, you know how many jokes we were running on People vs. OJ? Check out that pod, you guys. We did a few years ago.
We did at first.
People still saw Ross.
After a while, he became, who did he play?
He played the Kardashian. Yeah.
But after a while, he became the Kardashian. At first, he was Ross. That's what we saw.
Yeah.
But, he changed the more. And I think he just need to be in more shows.
Yeah, well, because that's what I mean. This guy right here, I mean, yeah, I think of Omar from The Wire, but his personality is nothing like Omar from The Wire on this show. Omar was silent. He was violent, but he was silent with his violence. Whereas this guy, Montrose is, sorry, my phone was on. Montrose is like, he's all over the place emotionally, and he's played so many different shows, and like, he can be scary, but he can be quiet scary. He can be loud scary. He can be nice. He's just a really good actor. And even though you see him on so many TV shows, you never think of him, or you never look at that guy and you're thinking like, look at Omar or anything like that. You're seeing him for the character who he is on that show.
Right.
But Ruby says, you know what? I'm going to call Christina. She'll do it for me.
And then we find out Ruby is in love with the D.
She's in love with that William D.
Christina got her hooked.
Right. So, like, is her and Christina sort of together, or they're only together when Ruby... I'm sorry. I'm thinking of later on in the episode, which I can't wait to get to talk about. But,
What?
When Ruby was like, yeah, when she turned the lady's power, like, the oxygen level up, she's like, I always picture myself a redhead. Like, Ruby is evil. Ruby has literally gone to the dark side, but we'll get to that in a minute. But Ruby says, you know, I'm gonna call my girl. She'll do it for me. She'll help us with D. And that's when Christina comes over, and she goes like, what happened? And Letty immediately was like, there was a gas explosion outside my house. So, you know, the police captain, he's dead. And Christina's looking like bullshit, but we realized that was their quick one-line answer of how they were going to explain what happened outside.
Yeah, or that's how the police, that's how they explained it.
Yeah.
Because most of the police out there know magic, but they can't let everyone know that they know magic. So the chief probably said, oh, we came out here and there was...
Right. I mean, and the monster came from out of the ground. So,
right.
How are they going to be able to explain that?
Right.
So gas explosion was a pretty good lie.
It was.
But unfortunately, Christina says, I can sort of reset and restore the spell, which will kind of bring her back, but it won't save her.
But let's go back to the police chief. Mm-hmm. Let's go back to he was doing what I said he was doing. They were kidnapping black people and using their body parts.
Yep.
This was like get out on a whole different level.
Yep. And that's how we see him. He keeps dying like over and over again. And Christina tells him, not Christina, William says, no matter how many black people you kidnap, or because he was talking to the other police officer first, and he was like, said the N-word, like bringing us another nigger or something like that. And
the police officer said, we can't keep kidnapping them.
Yeah, it's already being noticed.
Right.
Which is sick. Now, before Christina resets D, excuse me, you notice how D was turning into that very thing. She was turning into those girls.
Yeah. Turning into the jigaboo.
Yeah. That was kind of
I don't like that word jigaboo.
I know.
I hate that word. But she was turning into that character. The little girls with the lipstick all not only on their lips but around their lips.
Right.
With the hair in different type of ponytails, but they're not kept ponytails. They're just ponytails all over their head. It's just crazy the image that they created. Right. To show young black girls.
All right, so Montrose, even though last week Tick asked him, like, do you have any more secrets? And, he didn't say anything. But now Montrose is drinking, and he outright tells him, like, hey, George may be your dad. And
well, this came after Tick told him that he had to give his blood. Because Christine said they need the closest relative to give blood. Right. And Tick said, hey, Dad, well, that's you.
Right, yeah. Yeah, I didn't even think of why. I forgot that's the reason why. Because I was thinking, like, that was so random. Was it because he was drinking? But no, that makes more sense as to why he decided to tell him then and there. Like, no, you actually might be her brother, so you would be closer. Right. And Tick is mad. Once again, he does such a good job. Jonathan does such a good job in this scene because he's trembling and he's thinking all those times, and he's saying, all those times I used to hide and because you were beating my ass and Uncle George was there, getting the guide ready. And I used to just look at him and wish, like, dang, I wish he was my father. And now you're telling me that maybe he was?
Right. And he said, he forgave his mother, he forgave his uncle for never protecting him from him. Mm-hmm. And I don't know whether he says this right now on this scene or later, but I mean, I can understand the anger because this guy is beating on you, and you, at some point, you can't use the thing I whoop you because I love you.
Right.
Because, and that was more confusing. Where you beat me because you were mad that I wasn't your son, I could have been George's son.
It has so many implications. You're right.
Or where you beat me because you don't want me to turn out gay like you. Mm-hmm. Or it's so many things running through his head of why.
And you know what? And I know Tick and George sort of talked about it, as well as George and Montrose. But yeah, it's pretty fucked up that George watched his brother beat this boy. Whether it was his son, his nephew, it's pretty fucked up that he actually sat there and let it happen. And maybe it's the time, because I remember when they first went on the road trip and Letty was in there arguing with her brother, and George was like, don't get involved. And maybe that's
family.
Yeah, that's family. Don't get involved. And then even when we go in the flashback and we see literally Montrose getting his ass whooped outside on the front lawn, and people are walking by and no one stops it. And I'm like, that would not happen today. People would not. I don't think someone would see a kid getting beat in front of their house and not say nothing.
Well, you heard what Tick's grandfather said when he came out. Mm-hmm. He said, I don't care how you discipline your own kids, but you're not going to touch mine.
Yeah. Yep. Which didn't make me go, oh, you're a good guy, you're sticking for your daughter. It was like, that's fucked up. You guys knew it happened. You knew these kids were getting abused, and no one said anything. And no one did anything. And
you know what? That's one thing I gotta say about the black community, mm-hmm. is that we can know that there's something going on within it, especially in our families, mm-hmm. and it's like no one speaks on it.
Right.
It goes unnoticed or swept under the rug.
Yep.
And people may talk about it, like Thanksgiving, they may whisper to each other like,
that's fucked up, that's so-and-so, but no one actually says or does anything.
But no one would say nothing to that person.
Right.
And that's crazy. And we see that it just goes far back. And this is something that's just embedded in us. Mm-hmm. And I don't know whether it came from slavery, where, we were taught to look straight and mind your own business.
Yeah.
Like when the other person getting beat, like, oh, this has nothing to do with me. Let me keep doing what I got to do.
Right.
But it's something that we have to change.
Definitely.
We have to change this.
And it's funny that you brought up the slavery, because we watched the show it's on Netflix, I believe, Black as Fuck or Black AF. Kenya Barris, the creator of Blackish. And the first time we watched it, we didn't like it, but we watched it again, and every episode he goes, it's because of slavery. And I think each episode is titled because of slavery, or this happened because of slavery. And it's using pain to make jokes. But he's right. So many things that people think, oh, well, slavery was so long ago. It's not part of the society. So many things from slavery is part of the society. Like, if you think slavery is so long ago, but it's not part of the society, look at the Constitution. The Constitution is part of the society, but it's so long ago as well. So don't think that something is so far back in history it's not relevant today, because that's not the case. And when you said not looking or not minding your own business, I think that is that mentality from slavery that was taught for generations and generations and generations, to mind your business. Everyone says it too. Mind your business. Mind your business. All right. So Ruby tells Letty she needs to stay away from Tick and his crazy daddy. He's like, he almost hurt you now. Like, who knows what he was going to do? Who knows what his daddy going to do? And Christina hasn't tried hurting any of them. She even saved your life. And she said, don't be like Mama running after these men.
Like she's running behind Christina.
Yeah, running behind Christina. And then Letty says, well, the spell she needs from Tick is probably going to kill him. And Ruby looked like, okay. And then even when she later on
my man got to do what she got to do.
My man got to do what she got to do. And then later on when she talks to Ruby, she's just promise me you won't hurt my sister. And she has, is it going to kill Tick? And then Christina said, well, I'm going to need all his blood in order to become immortal. And Ruby didn't ask, well, why do you have to become immortal? Why do you need this? Ruby was just like, well, promise me you won't hurt my sister. And Christina says she promises. That was all Ruby cared about. She didn't care about Tick or anything like that.
That's what women do when they're in love. They don't ask no questions. No question.
So Hippolyta had came back. We kind of missed over that, but she just popped back up.
Baby, let me flip that tax return.
Let me flip that tax return and I'll turn that 5 into a 20. Okay, baby.
Okay, baby. Here you go.
I know this is
They
going
don't
to
ask
pay our
how.
rent for a few months,
They
but
don't
here
ask
you
what.
go.
Hey, but when that love's over, he ain't get that tax return no more.
All right, so Hippolyta, she's running shit inside. She comes back. She's like, we need to take D to the time machine / multi-universe. She calls it multi-universe. And she's like, she was on Earth 504, the equivalent of 200 years in their time. And she can name herself anything. And she has infinite wisdom and infinite possibilities. And I just love this new, strong Hippolyta that's so sure of herself and didn't have time for bullshit.
And this is what we were talking about on last week's episode. The multiverse. When Tick said he went to the future. And this is what I was trying to explain. That this is a multiverse machine.
Yeah.
That we don't know who future he went to.
I see what you're saying. So what you're saying is his son could be in Earth 205 or Earth 10. And
right.
That book, yes, is based on the son's history, but it could be really accurate because
it's based on the history of that Earth.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I get what you're saying. Well, while they're getting the time machine / multiverse set up, Montrose has a little one-on-one with Letty.
Oh, babe. You know what? This made me realize right here, go back to last episode, that Tick ain't shit.
What? Because he closed the thing
up. Tick went in. Tick was in and out.
Right.
He came out and just closed it up.
And I thought that too. I don't know why we discussed it, but I thought that too. I was like, how does he even know that she came out? He closed it.
He was like,
it might have took her 204 years to figure out how to get out without the machine being open.
Right.
So we'll see if she brings that up later. Like, this is why it took me so fucking long.
Yeah, Tick done went off. George got killed. Tick came back and lied about it. Tick came out, then make sure she was out and closed it up. Yeah. And then went home and lied about her too.
Right.
Man, we gotta watch Tick around D.
Yeah. Well, Montrose, he tells Letty he knows she's pregnant because Tick knows that she's pregnant because he went to the future and met their son. So he says all that. And he goes, it might not be true since there are parallel universes, but Montrose says she may have a hand in his death, in Tick's death. Yeah. And he said there's nothing that she can do that can make that right. So Montrose is pretty much telling Letty, I hate you. I hate your fucking guts because
basically
you gave Christina the Titus pages already or whatever and took this. But I don't know. Whatever it is, he's now blaming Letty for if Tick ends up dying.
And it's crazy that they're back in the past and they're still dressed like the future. They still look like they came from like 2000.
Right. They're
came from the future. The way they dress now look like they came from where flying cars to the people that's there right now.
Yeah. Because in 1951, they're like, we can't dress like, or 1955 or so, they're like, we can't dress like this. We got to change clothes. Now, I thought it was funny when they were getting ready because she was like, get that picture out that you always take, that you always kept in your wallet. And Montrose gets it out. And he's like, my daddy used to take us. And she was like, man, I don't give a fuck.
We don't have time for that. Give us that damn picture.
Story. Get that picture. Let's do this. So, and we find out this was Booker T. Washington's school prom. And they closed the school hours before the mayhem started. So we see that later on where they go, oh no, the dance is canceled. And they said this is also the night that Tick's mom's house burned down. It was that first night where the entire family was inside. Now, even though they're going back to 1921, why do you think they went back to this specific date? Like, why couldn't they come a week before all this happened? Or like, what was the reason? Why do you think they came that single night, that specific night?
Why do I think the massacre happened that Pacific night?
No, well, that too. But I mean, why did Letty and them come back this night? Why couldn't they come back a week before the massacre?
I thought the same thing. I thought maybe they could have came back a couple of days.
Yeah.
They could have came back. But I think that maybe this was the best time. Because Hippolyta said that she knows all now. She's smart, so she probably knew that it'd be easier to get their hands on that book if they came back the night of.
Right. Okay. Well, we got Montrose tripping, or it seems like he's tripping, and Tick calls him pathetic and says, you know what, when D is safe, he's done with him. You know, he used to put up with him because he thought he was his daddy, but now that he's not, he's done. I'm like, damn, Tick is, I mean, I don't know. I'm not going to say cold blood, but just.
Yo, Tick going off on everybody.
Yeah.
He went off on his little ex-girlfriend. Like, you know, when Tick goes off like he's the only one that's in the right and everybody else is wrong.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like with his girlfriend last week. What was her name?
Jiha or whatever.
Yeah, with her. You know, Tick saw something. It was never nothing and just mad at her and try to judge her on what she did. And he was out there killing people with no remorse.
Right.
Doing the exact same thing, except she had a reason. Like she said, I'm a monster. This is what I was born to do. What is your excuse?
Right.
And we see it happen again. Like when he found out his father was gay. You know, he went off like he went off on a girl, but just like he went off on his father again tonight when he found out it wasn't his father. Mm-hmm. Or it might not be his father.
Right.
And that's the crazy part because they don't know for sure.
Yeah, but I do wonder how they don't know for sure. Like, I kind of wanted more details. Like, what exactly happened? What happened to where you guys don't know for sure? Did George just hook up her one time? Or were they sleeping together? Like, did they have a relationship? Like, exactly how is it that there's some confusion on this, you know?
I don't think there's really confusion on it. I think he's saying that he may be your father. We see that Tick's mother went to prom with George. Mm-hmm. Well, was about to go to prom with George. So obviously they were probably together. I think their marriage was an arrangement.
Okay.
And it was an arrangement between all three of them.
Right.
And that's what he said. After the massacre, we became very close. We were all so close. Yeah. So I think that he married her and George was okay with it just to hide his identity.
Okay. That makes sense. And
her and George was actually still together.
Yeah, still in love. Because I'm assuming that's
still together.
Oh, still together. Well, I'm assuming also that's who George was dancing with when they were at that lodge. You know? Yeah. Well, as we mentioned, they watched little young Montrose get beat by his dad and present Montrose. It was so sad because Montrose, you know, being the strong one that he is now in present day, buckles down when he sees his dad. Like, even though he's now grown, he's still scared. And he goes, well, you know, I deserved it because, you know, I put on George's jacket and his corsage. I guess maybe he had it in his hair or something. He's
the flower in his head. Yeah.
And it was like that hurt, that pain, and that abuse, what it does to someone mentally.
And that was crazy. I remember back in the days, my grandmother used to make me go get a switch. We'll make all of the grandkids. You know, if we did something, she'd say, go outside and pick a switch. But this dude pulled out a whole branch. Right. This wasn't no regular little tiny switch. Which those hurt the worst anyway, those little switches. Yeah. I remember we used to try to pick the smallest one, hoping it wouldn't hurt. Those little things tear you up.
And that is another abuse that happened in slavery times that was passed down generations and generations, making you pick your own weapon or whatever you know to beat you with. So
pick your own death. Yeah. For real.
All right, so this is when things get really fast, really like a lot of stuff just kind of goes on. So we're going to go back and forth with all the scenes that here. And that is pretty much they decide to split up because they see George goes after Montrose, young George. And then they notice that Montrose is gone. So they're like, okay, Montrose is probably going after George to warn George that he's going to die. And so Tick is like, I'll go find Montrose to stop him because we can't change anything. It'll change stuff in the future. You know, like it could change us from even being alive. And you go find the book. And right when Letty's about to find the book, which I didn't really get how it happened because she's literally right across the street from the house to get the book. Yeah. But next thing you know, she's like, there's these white guys and they start shooting. And she has to run and get saved by Montrose's dad and Tick's mom and them. And they say, bring her inside and pretty much give her a gun and say, we're going to protect this house and protect ourselves. So
Yeah.
how did she get caught up if she was right there?
Well, the thing was, remember, they went to go find a car.
Okay, so
And
she wasn't. That's why.
Yeah,
she wasn't.
that's why she walked away. They weren't like exactly across the street at the moment.
Okay.
She was when they were in the barn or wherever they was
Right,
looking over.
right.
But once they said we had to split up, they went to go find a car together so Tick could get to Maestro faster.
Okay, makes sense.
Am I saying that right? Montrose?
Montrose. Yeah,
Montrose.
Montrose, yeah.
I said Montrose or Maestro. Maestro.
Well, it turns out Montrose is not actually there to save George. He's there to save his first love, Thomas.
His crush.
Yeah, his crush. And he says, that Thomas dies that night. He gets shot by some white people, and he wants to save him. Like, this is the thing that he's always wanted. And it's
Which
like,
we heard this story before.
yeah, we did. But the thing is, Tick is telling him, no, if you do that, you never know what's going to happen. You never know I might not be alive anymore. If you change anything that can prevent me from living, which will prevent my son from living and everything else, like, it's a ripple effect,
Right.
But it sounded like George was like, it sounded like Montrose still was going to do it. He's like, I understand the sacrifice I'm willing to make or whatever. He's like, but it sounded like he still wanted to do it.
I think he carries a lot of pain for what happened that night. Because he started off that night by telling the guy that I can't hang with you no more because
calling him an F word,
because
and saying
you're a faggot,
coward, and all this other. He was saying all types of.
No, the guy called him a coward.
Oh, okay.
He said, I can't hang with you no more because you're a faggot. Mm-hmm. First of all, if you and the guy, they had something going on. There was a connection somewhere where they both met out there.
Yeah.
So the guy knew that Monstrose was gay.
Yeah.
Also. But Monstrose tried to tell him, I'm not. And I
Right.
can't hang with you no more because you are.
And then not only that, Montrose said when they were holding hands, when they got scared, he's like, that was the first time we ever held hands in public, which did imply that they had been somewhat physical in private before.
Right.
But it happens just like he said it did. The guy immediately comes and shoots Thomas and kills him immediately.
Right. So I think Monstrose probably carried that with him that whole time. Like,
those are the last words I said to him.
Yeah, those are the last words I said to him. Plus, this is my fault because, if I wouldn't have told him that
there.
or told him, spend that time telling him that we couldn't be together or I couldn't hang with him, we probably could have moved on from that spot. Mm-hmm. So there's probably a lot of things he felt he could have changed then, so he wanted to change it now.
Well, as they're getting beat, because by this point, young George and young Dora are there now, and they're all getting, like, attacked by the white guys and the people, and Montrose like, I don't understand. Like, a guy came and saved me, like, with the bat and beat everybody up and said, it's all right. It's going to be all right, kid, or something,
I got you, kid.
I got you, kid. Yeah. And then that's when Tick stumbles over a bat and realizes he's the one.
He stumbled over the same bat that Monstrose used to break the glass to get alcohol. You got to be a wino to break in the back of a car because you see a bottle of alcohol.
I didn't even catch that.
Yeah. There was a crate of alcohol, or like wine or whatever it was, moonshine, in the backseat of a car.
Okay.
And he broke the glass with that bat.
But the fact that it is Tick that is the one that saved them that night. I love when they do this in time stories, like, time traveling movies and stuff like that, how it all comes back and how it comes back full circle, and it shows that this was always meant to happen because he was there before he even knew he was going to be there, or I don't know how to explain it,
Yeah.
And not only that, it reminds me of the first episode when Tick was having that dream or whatever.
Right.
And that Jackie Robinson.
And that's what I was going to say. It was a full circle.
Yeah.
And I think the reason he dreamt that Jackie Robinson said, I got you, kid, when he came out with the bat is because, like, to his father, the guy who saved them was a superhero. Mm-hmm. Like, we could have died right then, that night. So that's what Tick's seen in his dreams. He's seen the aliens. He's seen all the crazy stuff happen. Then he's seen his idol, a superhero, Jackie Robinson, saving him.
Yeah.
With just a bat. That's powerful.
It makes me want to go back and watch that scene from the very first episode again, because like you said, there were aliens over this, and I'm pretty sure once we're finished with the season, it's all, if we go back to that first episode where he was dreaming, all that stuff probably has happened. We'll probably see like the robot lady thing that was there with Hippolyta. We'll see a lot of different things that we didn't notice originally, or we didn't know what we were seeing originally. But Tick goes, and pretty much, I mean, like, most of those people, I'm assuming, are killed. He was stomping them out with that bat. He went full Negan.
Stomping them out with the bat.
Stomping them out with the bat. It don't make sense, but yeah, he beat them all, and then he let a few run
That sounds
away.
pretty serious.
Yeah. Well, I'm assuming some of them are dead.
Yo, it was crazy because that scene reminded me of Don't Be a Minute to South Central while drinking the juice in the hood. Mm-hmm. When he came in the house swinging and you just saw bodies flying. Because at one point, I swear I seen a lady.
Right.
I see Tick swing a bat, a young kid fell. He swung the other way. I could have swore I seen a lady with a dress on fly the opposite way.
There was a lady with a dress. I didn't see I didn't see her get hit. Excuse me.
Yeah, she got hit with the bat.
Well, she got hit, but she was able to run away. She made it off. She made it off alive. So. And
that's what I'm saying. In that scene, he just went swinging, and you saw bodies just flying here, there, like any and everybody could get it.
Right. Well, back in the house, Letty's now looking for the book. And the lady, I meant to look up the actress that was there because I definitely recognize her as someone that's been in a lot of things. But she catches her. She's looking at her and she's like, something right with you. Those shoes look like they not from around here. Like, who are you? Because I'll put a bullet in your head right now. And Letty tells her everything. Like, I'm from the future. I'm in love with your, what is it, great grandson or whatever, and I'm having his baby.
Grandson.
We need, his niece or her cousin. I don't know. She said it all. She's like, we need a book. She has a spell. We need the book of names. And that's when Lady's like, we're gonna die here tonight, aren't we? And she's like, well, the first lady was like, I'm gonna change it, and Letty's like, please, no, you can't. Like, you can't change anything.
Right, you can't change it, or your grandson won't be born.
Now, this is where I sort of disagreed with what everything they were saying. To me, it sounds a little selfish when you say, don't change it because I won't be born. Like, I sometimes think, I always laugh and go, my mom had 6 kids and I'm the third. And sometimes I go, she should have stopped at 1 or 2. And everyone's like, well, then you wouldn't have been born. I'm like, I know. Like, it's just what would happen.
Well, I think it's the most unselfish thing you could do. Because whatever changes here could change a lot of things in a lot of people's lives in the future.
So I you're saying it's not about necessarily
I don't think it's necessarily about just me, but it hits harder when I tell you about your son, your grandson. But the whole time, Tick was telling his father, "Hey, we can't change anything. You can't stop him. We can't help this person. We cannot change a damn thing."
I understand it can change things about other people's lives, but if you're going to prevent tragedy, then prevent that tragedy. But you're saying that it could be a butterfly effect, and maybe other things can happen. That's the only reason why I can say don't do it. Because look, if they were able to stop Emmett Till's murder, are you saying don't stop it because that's what's supposed to happen? And if maybe he lived something else, it could have been somebody else or something else.
First of all, we're going to stop the conversation right there and just be real and just keep it real. If it wasn't Emmett Till, or it was Emmett Till, it was a lot of other young black males that happened to. There was going to always, and is always, a face to that kind of evil.
Yes.
There's always a face. There's always a young kid that dies. The young girls, young black boys, young black girls, men, other cities that burned down. Tulsa wasn't the only massacre. There was massacres in a lot of black cities, a lot of black communities. So if it wasn't Tulsa that we was heard about today, there was another city. There are other cities that this has happened in.
I agree. I just think that maybe I would have personally said, let's go there and let's arm them and let's prevent this from happening. But let's prepare them for this fight that's about to come their way.
Right, but like I said, that
But what
they
you're
stopped.
saying is
They stopped Tulsa,
yeah.
but there's another city that this happened in. There's other cities or other black towns that this exact thing has happened in.
Well, who knows? Maybe if they actually went there and prepared them for this fight, like this is happening in 3 days, we need to be ready. Them stopping that fight might have deterred other groups from saying, hey, they're going to be prepared. They're going to fight back. And this is what happened in Tulsa. We tried to kill Tulsa. We tried to burn down Tulsa. And let me tell you what happened instead. I mean, I know it sounds a little naive, but I mean, that's just another story I wouldn't have mind seeing. I wouldn't have mind seeing if they went back and did try to change the past.
I think the past is the past for a reason, and I'm glad they didn't try to change it. Because right now, Emmett Till is the face of that evil that happened back then. But like I said, that if it wasn't him, there's still plenty of other young black boys, like the 4 girls that burned in the church. Mm-hmm. But, I mean, that happened, and they're the face of that cruelty, which is really the same cruelty. But look at what happened in Tulsa. Look what happened here. A whole family, grandmother, mother, daughters, granddaughters, families were burned in homes.
Right.
So there's always going to be a face to this kind of evil. Even to today, we have all these people. We have Freddie Gray. That's a face. We have Breonna Taylor. So it's just, this shit just keep happening over and over and over again. And there's always faces that add to this picture and to this evil.
Yeah, no, I know. And I guess whenever you see a lot of time machine movies or TV shows such as this or Back to the Future, even when they did it in the Avengers, it's always about making sure not to do anything to change the past. And I'm guessing I would just like the story to see what happens when you do purposely change the past. What happens when you do go back to these moments in time where evil happened. And maybe, yes, we will see a different name. Maybe instead of Emmett Till, we would see another young boy's name. Maybe instead of the Tulsa, maybe it would have been another city. I'm just saying, that's a story I kind of would like to see. Like, I want to see future stopped. I mean, I want to see past stopped. I want to see what that story looks like. But not saying anything was wrong with them doing it this way. I just feel like it's always done this way, where it's always, when it's time machines, it's always like, can't change anything or whatever. And I would just like it something different done.
I feel you. I guess you got to write that story.
Yeah, maybe. What did they say? Where is it that we were just listening to or watching? And I forgot. It's like it's drawing a blank, but it was something like if maybe it was from this. I don't know. It was from something, and it was like if there's a story that hasn't been told, then you need to be the one to write it or whatever. But okay, it's like at the tip of my tongue of who was just talking about it or where I just listened to that at. Might have been another podcast. I'm not sure. All right, so we see Tick after, he kicks ass and everything like that. He comes back and he can tell something's wrong with the portal. He jumps back in and Hippola's like, I can't hold it no more. And it closes with only Tick inside and Montrose and Letty still on the other side.
But the thing is, Montrose, he was there.
Montrose was right there.
Montrose was
like
there.
Kind of in his zone.
He was in his zone, still telling the story.
Right. And that's when he gets her. He's like, come on, you got to open it back up and do it for D. Because it's not, we don't have the book. We still don't have what we came here for, And then you see like Letty finally walking back with the book in her hand after she was like kind of like watched there with Tick's like great grandmother and watched her like burn.
Why Letty, that would be Tick's grandmother.
Okay. Why it was kind of crazy that Letty is taking a lot of chances with this I'm invincible type of stuff. Like, if she just sat there, she was getting shot, letting herself get shot. She's been now letting herself get burned. Like, Letty, how do you know how long this is gonna last? Like,
right?
Like, stop taking chances and letting the bullets and bombs fly next to her and everything like that.
Walking in slow motion.
That part I didn't like, with Letty walking back slow. And maybe I think they filmed it as like this is her powerful moment. She knows the spell. The lady taught her the spell at least to open the book.
I think they wanted us to really get a feeling for what was happening.
Yeah.
So they didn't want her just running back to the portal Tick was already at the portal. We saw what was going on there. Monstrose was up there narrating the whole situation, the past, present, the future. So it was on her to actually be there in the scene and walk slow so we could still see that now they have planes bumming this town.
Mm-hmm.
They still have their people inside the town running around killing people, shooting people. And guess what? These same people that did all this crazy stuff are the same ones that called themselves Christians and went to church that Sunday.
Say it. Say it. Went to church on Sunday like they just weren't killing people on Saturday and Friday. So, but Letty finally comes back. I love this scene with Hippolyta, like using all her power, her hair turning blue. She looks exactly like the character that Dee would draw in her comics.
Yeah.
Which shows you once again it's all sort of connected. So who knows where Dee went mentally, why she's under this spell right now, and if maybe she got what she's thinking that she's making up as far as her comics have actually been dreams or future scenes that she's seen or whatever, you know?
Yeah.
So can't wait to see when she wakes up what her story is going to be. And if they're all finally going to talk, like, okay, this is everything. We all know, like, you know, everyone knows everything now at this point, with only one episode left. So yeah, I very much enjoyed the episode, and that was everything.
Yeah,
it was
a
Hippolyta
powerful,
did a good job.
a powerful episode.
Yeah.
And I just want to know what else can Hippolyta do?
Yeah.
Like, what other power she have? You see, she still have like the little blue things on her.
Yeah, she says she's
wrist.
connected. Yeah.
So it's sort of like some Matrix type shit.
Right.
I gotta get dialed in. I gotta get plugged in now.
So can she stop Tick's death? Maybe is what I wonder.
Well, I think everything happening here is happening for a reason, and Christina knows that this is what's happening. This is what's supposed to happen. She might know they have to go back to the future to get the book she need.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Christina definitely knows more than what she's saying. She might have been able to easily fix completely heal Dee.
Right.
And she might have said, I only could do a little, you know. So we'll see. Because Tick, well, I will say this. Tick and Montrose, they're very smart. They read a lot. And now that Hippolyta's back, Hippolyta knows everything. Christina might think that she knows more than what they know. And they might do the switcheroo on her.
Yeah, together they might be powerful.
Yeah.
Well, they are powerful together.
Now, Ruby, though. Ruby's going to be the link that you didn't see coming.
She's going to be the change coat.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
She's going to jump sides.
It sounds like she said last week or the other week. It's not
she
that
got ride for a man.
White. But she going to come back a redhead. Watch. We're going to see a redhead next week. And we're not going to know that it's Dee. I mean, not Dee. Ruby. Well, we are. We're going to figure it out. But
yeah.
We'll see what happens.
But I think Ruby's going to ride for a man.
Yeah.
Go against the family.
Yeah.
I seen it happen. I seen it happen in real life.
So, yeah, we'll see what happens. All right, you guys, that is all we got. If you would like to be part of the podcast and give your feedback and we talk about it on the show, hit us up, host@theverdictsend.com. That is HOST@theverdictsend.com, and we will discuss it on the podcast, or even hit us up on Twitter @theverdictsend or facebook.com/verdictsend. Until next week's season finale, I believe it has been confirmed 10 episodes, so it's either season finale or series finale. We'll catch you guys then. Until then, I'm Nicole.
I'm Gary.
Bye.